Welcome to the Cyber Scoop, where today we'll break down GMX's $40 million Arbitrum exploit, the frantic Linux kernel security patch race, an AI-powered deepfake attack impersonating Senator Rubio, Microsoft's massive Patch Tuesday vulnerability blitz, and fresh Telegram messaging threats. Next up in GMX news, the cross-chain decentralized exchange found itself reeling after an attacker drained roughly $42 million from its V1 platform on Arbitrum. Here's what happened. GMX immediately paused trading and halted both token minting and GLP operations to stop further damage. In an unprecedented move, the protocol offered the exploiter a 10% white hat bounty, around $4.5 million, if they returned the stolen funds. The hacker ultimately sent back about 40 million dollars on-chain, accepting the bounty and even routing a small remainder through Tornado Cash before the deal was finalized. The market reacted swiftly. The GMX token jumped roughly 16% as confidence was partially restored. This incident underscores two key trends in crypto security. Large liquidity pools remain prime targets, and bounty-driven recovery deals can be an effective, if unconventional, remedy. GMX's rapid response and willingness to negotiate appear to have salvaged most of the loss, but it's yet another reminder that even mature DeFi platforms can face sudden, high-stakes exploits. Next up in Linux news, developers have rushed out patches for a sweeping series of security holes affecting kernel releases all the way up through recent 6.x and release candidate series. In total, dozens of bugs have been closed, ranging from straightforward denial of service flaws to more serious buffer overflows and privilege escalation vectors. Here's a broad overview. 1. Denial of service, DOS vulnerabilities, a host of subsystems from SCSI's FNIC BarbQC MPL Hala handler and the S390 MEMDUP user routine to Bluetooth VHCR RH flush, HID's wake and battery handler, BTRFS's read arch1 inode, NFS's return empty folio, the AOE dev part down dev function, and many more could be driven to crash or hang the kernel. File systems are FEFs, networking stacks, PTP, RT and R create chot link, IO Uring, Zinc MP, NVM EM, and kernel graphics, atom control initialized Schwartmer Sekiot Regiot table. Also saw DOS triggering bugs. 2. Buffer overflow and double free issues. Bluetooth firmware handlers, Beta Intel DSBR, Air Chi Create Chi, Chi DV data, Ear Chi Get Chi service crazy data, Wi-Fi drivers, P54 or XE EEPROM, readback, DVM, Kasprintf, ATR 11K caution halt, the RSV put user call, the Amlogic DDR PMU drivers, SMP processor bar ID, and the NFT subsystems double free all had unsafe memory accesses that could be weaponized to corrupt memory or escalate privileges. 3. Privilege escalation and information disclosure. Local attackers could leverage flaws in the ERCHI, BAR, PROGGI, RETZI, Warnhook, KSM BD's free transport, Perf's platform, accept they data. GPO, H keys, key chart timer, and various SSI and Wi-Fi code paths to boost privileges or leak sensitive data. 4. Boot time and EDR evasion concerns. A newly disclosed InnoTramp's weakness lets malicious code bypass secure boot and gain a foothold under the hood. Separately, a tool dubbed Ring Reaper exploits IO Uring's design to slip past modern endpoint detection and response systems. 5. Distributions and mitigations. SUSE and Ubuntu have already pushed updated kernel packages to address these CVEs and reinforce components like SMB, UBIFs, DRM, JFS, and JFFS2. Meanwhile, major Linux distros are also scrambling to remediate serious pseudo flaws that could let local users run arbitrary code or install persistent malware. Bottom line, if you're running any 5.x or 6.x kernel prior to the latest security releases, or relying on SUSE, Ubuntu, or similar distributions, apply updates immediately. These patches close a cavalcade of attack paths that range from simple crashes to full root level takeovers, and they're essential to keeping your Linux systems safe. Up next in our Marco Rubio news, the US State Department has officially warned American diplomats about a bad actor using AI to pose as Senator and de facto Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Here's what we know. What happened? Someone used cutting-edge voice cloning technology to mimic Rubio's voice and writing style, reaching out to at least 3 foreign ministers, a governor, and a member of Congress over the encrypted Signal app. Who's investigating? The incident is now the focus of both a State Department inquiry and an FBI probe into potential espionage or fraud. Why it matters. This deepfake scam underscores the growing threat AI poses to diplomatic communications, making it harder to verify that the person on the line is really who they claim to be. What's next? In response, the State Department is ramping up its cybersecurity protocols, tightening identity checks, rolling out new authentication measures and training staff to recognize AI-driven imposters. We'll keep an eye on how this investigation unfolds and what safeguards Washington puts in place to keep real leaders and real information secure. Here's the roundup of what's happening in the Microsoft world today. Next up in Microsoft news, experts are sounding the alarm on passkeys, those passwordless logins that tech giants are championing. Some security analysts worry they may introduce new attack vectors and unintended downsides, raising questions about who really benefits from this shift. On the product front, Barracuda Networks just launched Entra ID Backup Premium, designed to protect your Microsoft Entra ID environments from accidental or malicious data loss. And Microsoft itself is beefing up its zero trust training. What began as a pilot workshop is now a full-blown 6-pillar deep dive covering identity, endpoints, network, apps, data, and infrastructure. But it's not all good news. Microsoft and researchers have disclosed an onslaught of critical vulnerabilities across virtually every Windows component. Highlights include Windows Server 2025. Storage and graphics components, Win32K and Hyper-V drivers vulnerable to buffer overflows that allow local privilege escalation. Multiple routing, JOC remote access. Service flaws dating back to Server 2008, R2 through Server 2022 that can be weaponized for code execution. A race condition in Teams CV 2025-49737 and other Teams bugs enabling elevated privileges. Weaknesses in Smart Screen, KDC Proxy, QoS Scheduler, FastFat, Print Spooler, Notification, BitLocker, and dozens more, many requiring only local access and with no known public exploit. Yet Microsoft's July 2025 Patch Tuesday addressed 130 to 137 vulnerabilities, including one 0-day and several remote code execution flaws across SQL Server, SharePoint, Office, ASP.NET Core, and Windows itself. If you're running any version from Windows Server 2008 up through 11.20 Grade 2 and Server 2025, check for updates now. On the law enforcement front, Italian authorities at the FBI's request arrested a Chinese national accused of hacking Microsoft Exchange to steal COVID-19 research. Europol and Microsoft also teamed up to dismantle the Lumma Stealer network, taking down hundreds of laptop farms used for credential stealing. In partnerships and innovation news, Forrester named Microsoft a leader in the 2025 Zero Trust Platforms Wave. Accenture and Microsoft expanded their AI-powered Cyber Defense Alliance, rolling out new SOC automation tools and ebooks on building AI-driven security operations centers. Researchers trained an open-source LLM that evades Microsoft Defender about 8% of the time, highlighting the ongoing arms race between attackers and defenders. Finally, Microsoft plans to remove saved passwords from its Authenticator app on August 1st, urging users to export them if they haven't already. And if you're hungry for more security tips, don't miss Microsoft's latest blog on hardening Windows with simple policy tweaks and a deep dive report on unpatchable systemic flaws in Windows 10 and 11. That's your Microsoft security and product update. Stay patched, stay vigilant, and we'll be right back after a short break. Next up on your Telegram news roundup, Here's what's happening in the world of secure messaging and cyber threats. Growing focus on cybersecurity. Multiple reports stress the vital role of cybersecurity in today's digital communications, with Telegram often held up as a go-to for secure messaging. Telegram has pushed end-to-end encryption, account locking with passwords, and other privacy safeguards in recent updates. Feature enhancements and security rollouts. New tools to detect and block fake news. Scams and inauthentic accounts are rolling out globally. A password-protected account lock feature and tightened two-factor authentication aim to thwart unauthorized access. Criticisms and vulnerabilities. Despite its reputation, Telegram faces scrutiny over data handling and encryption practices, with some experts pointing to potential weak spots, especially in certain localized app versions. Security researchers have flagged a vulnerability in the Russian edition of the app, prompting an emergency patch. Malware, phishing, and scam epidemic. A rise in Android targeting malware spread via Telegram channels is stealing financial data. Users are urged to stay vigilant. Phishing attacks have surged, and one Russian cybersecurity firm reports a 57% year-over-year spike, while scammers hawk high-priced username buys in TON tokens. Fake job offer scams, flight data leaks from rogue channels, and bot-based attacks have led to multiple data breaches, impacting hundreds of thousands of users. Law enforcement and government moves. Russian authorities have temporarily blocked Telegram, cracked down on illegal online activity, and issued warnings against using the app for criminal purposes. Fines and arrests are on the rise as the government seeks to curb cybercriminal misuse of the platform. Expert alerts and industry events. Cybersecurity experts warn of a new malware strain targeting Russian users, underscoring the need for constant vigilance. A major cybersecurity conference in Moscow will spotlight DDoS defense and debate Telegram's evolving security posture. Data breaches and incident reports. Separately reported incidents involving malicious Telegram bots led to the leak of personal data, ranging from a few dozen individuals to an exposure affecting over 170 million records. Looking ahead, as Telegram continues to beef up its encryption and privacy offerings, both users and regulators will be watching closely to see if these measures can keep pace with increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. That's all for today's show. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in next week for another dose of cybersecurity insights.